One of the biggest things that's going to hold you back from growing and scaling and thriving with your service delivering business is your mindset and the way that you actually apply yourself to little knockbacks and things that don't quite go to plan. Now, this is something that happens over and over and over again, and throughout your entire life, business or personal or any component of your life, you're always going to have problems. You're always going to have problems that you have to solve. You're always going to have things that don't quite go to plan. You're always going to have to overcome certain aspects, certain barriers, certain hurdles, certain things that you actually go through. You're always going to have these problems that you've actually got to solve. And I see this time and time again. I have conversations with clients about this as well, is that mindset and the ability to just move forward no matter what. So I see this quite often if, let's say, your Instagram stories, the amount of people that are viewing it, it suddenly drops. All of a sudden, sheer panic kicks in. Oh my God, I'm having way less people actually view my stories. What am I doing wrong? What do I need to change? What do I need to adapt? What do I need to pivot to? Like, what's gone wrong? Sheer panic. You might have a client leave. Oh my God, I need to change my entire service. I need to improve as a coach or a consultant or a service like deliverer. Like, everything needs to change. Things happen, and this is business. We shouldn't completely pivot or completely adjust everything that we're doing just because we have one tiny hurdle. And in the grand scheme of things, these are tiny hurdles, and quite often we sit in the thought of that one little thing that goes wrong, and then we don't take action for a period of time. We just stop moving forward. We lose all momentum. Okay. Me and my wife had this saying, we call it shrink the think. And this all came about from, if you actually think about sitting in a doctor's waiting room, especially if you're watching this from the UK, most like typical doctors, you'll walk in, there's a really old TV in the top right corner of the room. You've got a few old newspapers that are got quite a few months out of date, maybe years out of date. And the whole room is just silent, and you walk into this doctor's waiting room, you sit down and you just wait for your name to be called. Whether you've booked an appointment, it could be late, you could be waiting there an hour, maybe hours. You could be waiting there for a period of time, okay? Now, that is the waiting room that most of you, when it comes to these little problems, you sit in this waiting room just waiting to actually see the doctor. Whereas instead, when it comes to business, address it, analyze it, yes, but walk straight into that doctor's office and kick the door down and go and have your appointment instead of sitting in that waiting room. So shrink the think. So if your story views suddenly drops one day, it's okay. Post another story, move forward. If a client leaves, go get another one. If something very minor happens, we don't have to sit there in that waiting room, sit there in that thought process and just stop moving forward with the things that we need to move forward with. That's not going to benefit you in any way, shape or form. You have to move forward all the time. You're always going to have problems. I did the same thing. I've had multiple occasions of this throughout my business career so far. One of them I was actually just talking to my videographer about when, but who's behind the camera right now eating M&Ms? He's putting me off. But I spoke to him about when I was fitness coaching, and I put myself for a photo shoot, 4 or 5 months it was. I went from 103 kilos, I think I started at, to 69 kilos, absolutely killed myself. 2 hours cardio every day, 1,300 calories every day, like outside of my job. I really like dug myself into the ground just because I thought I'm going to do this photo shoot and I'm going to get a load of fitness coaching clients off the back of it. Put myself through all of that, got 0 clients off the back of it. But I didn't sit there moaning about it. I didn't sit there crying about it. I didn't sit there like dwelling, bitching, whinging about the fact that I've put myself through all of this and I've got no clients from it. What do you do instead? You move forward. Okay, why didn't I get clients from this? Analyze it. What can I do better? What can I do to move forward, to actually improve with moving forward? Like, what was the reason? Because there's always a reason why problems actually occur, and there's always a solution to every single problem that you actually face, okay? And the reason was, in that scenario, okay, I didn't document the journey. I actually looked at the shoot, yeah, I had a before and after, but I didn't actually post and make anyone aware about the journey that I was actually going through. So I learned from that, I improved, I moved forward. I had a client that then wanted to go for a photo shoot. We had his weekly check-ins that actually went online every single week with his permission. One of my clients called Reese. We took him for a phenomenal body transformation, documenting every journey. And then even on his photo shoot day, I hired a videographer and we went and had had this huge burger and chips. And that's all on YouTube right now for you to actually go and see. So we documented the entire journey. And then off the back of that, I had a huge influx of clients off the back of it. But that all came from moving forward from that barrier that I actually went through. Instead of me sat there in that waiting room thinking how everything's gone wrong and nothing's ever going to work again, you move forward, you learn from your experience, what feedback can I actually get, what can I collect, and how do I move forward with this? Most business owners, and this might be you right now, you have one tiny thing that goes wrong, and it completely hinders you from moving forward. It completely ruins that momentum that you've actually got, and it stops you unleashing and creating that true potential that you've actually got. It completely hinders you. So if this is you right now, just think to yourself, okay, why am I letting all of these tiny little things actually hold me back? Like, why am I letting all these tiny minuscule things actually hold me back from becoming the true potential that I can actually achieve, like actually unleashing that? Like, why are these things actually doing that? And this is a common occurrence and something I see all the time. So shrink the thing. Every problem has a solution. Every problem. So become more solution focused instead of problem highlighting. Don't highlight any problem that you got. Story views drop. Problem. A client leaves. Problem. You might have a little bit of a bad review. Problem. Like, whatever those tiny little, your software might crash. I'm just talking about random things right now, but every single day you have these tiny little problems, and if you sit there highlighting the problems, it's not doing you any good. It's not actually moving forward. You're making no progress in that mindset. So every problem has a solution, and become way more solution focused, and you will absolutely crush it with business.